Mexicano. How's everything? How's everything? So I'm here mobile. So if it goes dark, it's the reason why is because I'm going through areas that are not well lit. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, the title is Biology versus Intersectionality. Okay, so which some people out here don't know is there's this agenda of intersectionality where um, it's basically trying to push gender fluidity, you know, that agenda. And I actually got into some debates online with some people who are, the whole discussion is around the Olympics and the boxer, the the boxer that pummeled, basically the Italian woman. Now you got a lot of liberals out here trying to say it was born a woman, and then you have others saying no, that's not true. I actually side with people who say that the boxer that basically brutalized the Italian lady in the Olympics is born a male, and I say this based on the chromosomes. So if you have a XY chromosome, that indicates that you're a male. Now, um, now with all this whole LGBTQ agenda, intersectionality, transgenderism, even hermaphrodites. What a lot of these LGBTQ people like to do is they like to use the whole hermaphrodite case, which is very rare, and they like to use like kind of like a slippery slope type argument where if it's okay to have gender fluidity in for example, like with the hermaphrodite, then it's okay for everyone else to go along with that and to decide that, oh, you can go ahead and change your gender and identify as something else, or go through hormone therapy and get yourself castrated and all that stuff, do surgical removal. So that's actually a slippery slope type argument. Now, what occurs with hermaphrodites is very rare, and it's a genetic, um, basically a genetic deformity. That's why it's very rare, and it's not actually not even a healthy condition. They call it the DSD, um, and so this boxer that brutalized the Italian lady, and she actually gave up in a few seconds in the Olympics because she says she's never been hit so hard before. She says this is unjust and stuff like that. Well, there's actually another boxer, Asian, who's the same thing, is born with an XY chromosome, decided to participate and box a woman, and this person won as well. So it seems like these XY people are winning. And it's not to say a woman can't beat a man, but in most cases, a man will have more advantages in terms of strength and power, speed, and stuff like that. So these individuals that have this XY male chromosome have advantages in terms of testosterone, strength, and speed, and everything. So it's very unfair. It's a disadvantage to women. And some people are saying, "Well, where are the feminists? How come they're not in an uproar because it's males, brutalizing women?" And and so I've actually gotten an argument with some liberals, and they're saying, "Oh, it's a syndrome and this and that," and they say it's born a female. I go, "No, it's like it's born with XY chromosomes, and don't matter if the genitalia doesn't work. Actually, the syndrome that boxer has, um, the person can't reproduce, can't grow breasts, and and so there's like what is it, the gonads or something are not developed enough to produce you know a certain um, like to mature or to go through in to go through puberty in some sense to fully develop. So but and they say, oh, the some of these people, hold on, let me get through here. Some of these people may develop certain characteristics. For example, it may have an XY chromosome, but it may have certain characteristics that may look like a woman. Well, let me tell you this. There's a lot of guys out here that have hormone problems and all that, or even other issues, and some of them do look very feminine. But in my opinion, when you have an XY chromosome, that should already tell you that you're a male. Don't matter if your genitalia doesn't develop. Obviously, when with this that syndrome that person has is they say they cannot produce sperm or even eggs. And in a sense, so it's like a kind of like a hermaphrodite. But then they have specific terms and everything, so I'm not going to even use that word. But um, this person was saying, oh, the liberal that I got an argument with, he was trying to say there's more to this chromosomes, and I say that's a lie. It's not. It chromosomes is science. It determines your biological sex. Now these liberals want to say that, oh, they can identify with whatever they want and this and that, but the consequences of that is you got these men brutalizing women, and they're winning. And so we're seeing the consequences, and people try to say, oh, this is not about transgenderism and this and that. Well, this is the gateway. This is how they try to manipulate everyone into being pro LGBTQ by pushing these genetic dysfunctions as which are very rare, and they make it seem like, oh, everyone should be like this in some sense, gender fluid, and they should identify as what and whatever, and they should even compete in sports against other, so what's weird is that you got these males fighting women in sports, these males going to jails, women's jails, and they've been even raping women in prison and getting them pregnant, um, and all kinds of cases like that. Um, but you don't see women identifying as males going in and trying to challenge men in sports or anything like that because they know they'll get brutalized, right? But the opposite is occurring. Um, so it's a really confused world out here, and we're seeing the results of it, and everybody's waking up to this whole LGBTQ agenda, but the liberals are very brainwashed. And you got people like Kamala Harris pushing this stuff. This is what Kamala Harris was is she's okay with all that. Transgenderism, hormone therapy, surgical removal and all that. And I found out that it's not only transgenders that are being the people who are like there's a transgender agenda of you know, in a sense, trying to target the youth and brainwashing them to get hormone therapy and surgical removal. Uh, but they also do this to young little babies, who are not right away showing any genitalia in some sense, or sometimes they have a certain chromosome, but they're expressing a different type of genitalia. And so what they do is they go and castrate them and give them hormone therapy, and they try to change their sex contrary to their say chromosomes that they were born with. And so they use surgical removal and hormone therapy on them. Same thing is going on as with the whole transgender movement. So this is what they're doing out there. So the director of the Olympics knows what they know what they're doing, and they want to just influence the world to be okay with all this stuff, and they're promoting their agendas. As soon as the Olympics started, you saw it. You saw how they're promoting their whole LGBTQ agenda with their mockery of the Last Supper and everything. And they're trying to do this with the sports too. So this is what's happening out here. But like I said, my debate with the liberals, I told them this. I told them that you know you could try to say that thing was born a woman, but biology doesn't say that. Chromosomes doesn't don't say that. If you have XY chromosome, you're a male. That's it. It's the science is settled. You know, enough of this gender fluidity and confusion. You can't deny your biological makeup. you know, and so this is what the liberal agenda is. They want to deny their biology and identify as something else, and they want to push that to our youth. They want to push that to everybody else. So this is part of the problem out here. So as long as you argue with, if you use biology, they can't stay. Their argument just crumbles. You know, and and so that's the key right there. But you got this satanic agenda that's out there to confuse people, to confuse the sexes, to make males into females and females into males, and to get everyone all mixed up and confused. This is the work of the enemy right there, and this is how you weaken societies. You emasculate the man. You make the woman more masculine. This is, and you get them to, you know, you cause friction and confusion, and that's the enemy right there, man. That's the deception out here, and people fall for it. Even people in the churches out here, you got these liberal Christians falling for that nonsense too and pushing that agenda. So it's just, and this is the deception of the enemy and everything. And they try to come off like, oh, this is science. But when you use real science, you know, let's say, hey, let's discuss science, right? They're kind of like the Faucis out there. Oh, I'm the science. I'm the science. You disagree with me, you're disagreeing with science. First of all, science is always changing based on data. And not only that, science is never absolute. But the evidence shows that if you have XY chromosomes, then you're a male, no matter what. You can't deny that. So, and people will try to argue that, explain it away, and they'll try to justify themselves to push their agendas. So, definitely, um, so yeah, it's, you see the deception out here. As soon as people start saying they're the science, oh, and this is science, well, let's talk about science, right? Let's get into it. They don't want to talk about the real science. But anyways, but yeah, this is, and what's sad is the youth are being targeted with all these agendas here, and that's what's happening out here. Confusion, destruction of natural roles between the male and female, and it also leads to the agenda of depopulation too. You know, when you stray away from the natural laws that God has created. Male and female were meant to go together, right? To reproduce and continue um, the human species in some sense, right? When you stray away from that, what happens, right? There's no reproduction, right? You can't continue on with the human species. It ends up decreasing in terms of population. This is part of their agenda out here too, especially the New World Order. Their agenda is to depopulate. So and they're poisoning the minds of the youth out here. That's what they're doing. They're poisoning the minds of the youth, and they're pushing their agendas everywhere. That's what they're doing. They're marketing their corruption everywhere. That's why I tell people we should counter this. It's an info war. We should counter this. This is why I make videos on here. I come on here. It's to counter the deception, to counter the corrupt status quo, right? And expose it. And this is one of the agendas out here. Is that whole LGBTQ agenda. And they're using like hermaphrodites to try to throw a monkey wrench at you, right? And like I said, that whole hermaphrodite type, stuff is very rare genetic deformity. It's not natural, and a lot of times it leads to even it's not healthy. I was looking at the syndrome that boxer has, and it's actually not a healthy syndrome. It's a bad genetic deformity, and it's not something that's normal and healthy. Despite the person having XY chromosomes, the person can't reproduce, can't grow female breasts, and most of their It's like their supposedly their gonads don't produce certain hormones, so they have a biological dysfunction, right? So, but it has XY chromosomes, so It's a male. So, I think what happens is they're trying to confuse people. So, it supposedly the person has female genitalia. I actually come across some were saying no, that it actually has like kind of like a underdeveloped penis. That's what I come across, but I don't know how certain that is. But whether it has female genitalia or underdeveloped penis or say both or something like that, um, it still has XY chromosome, which indicates it's a male. And this is why it has high testosterone, is very strong and fast, and it has advantage over females, especially in terms of boxing. So all this stuff is backfiring. This whole LGBTQ agenda is backfiring, and hopefully women wake up, because if you don't wake up, your dreams are gonna be destroyed, especially in the Olympics. Your dreams are gonna be destroyed, and you're gonna be fighting men who identify as women. It's funny. I told that one liberal, hey man, instead of having these XY, people who want to identify as a woman, instead of having them fight women, they should either fight men because they have an XY chromosome, or they should fight each other and have their own category. You know, as you guys know, I'm not pro LGBTQ. I think it's satanic. And a lot of time it's mental. It's a mental problem and a spiritual problem as well. I mean, at times whenever a transgender, there's been even videos of that. Whenever there's like a homosexual or lesbian or transgender, whenever someone who's really into God and prays over them, they start manifesting, and then there's like a demon that starts manifesting in them. Now, if I bring in religion, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, you're just religious and everything." Well, this is why they hate Christ, though. Demons hate Christ, and this is why they mocked Christ at the Olympics. They are the Antichrist, and it's because their lifestyle. They know that the gospel opposes that lifestyle, right? So this is why they will mock Christ, and they don't mock anybody else, right? All these other religions, no, they pretty much go after and mock Christ, because Christ is the truth, and they just don't want to. They just want to live their wicked lifestyles and live in their own, and promote that wicked lifestyle to everybody else. They're the Antichrist spirit. That's what it is, and that's the agenda right there. So, anyways, but if you ever get a chance, there is a documentary that's very relevant to this. It's called "What Is a Woman," and it's kind of a documentary exposing the whole transgender movement, and and I think it's very relevant to even this whole intersectionality and even this what's going on with the Olympics right there. You got these guys who are XY chromosomes who want to identify as a woman, and they're beating up these women in boxing, right? And you got these liberals promoting this agenda and everything, and people like Kamala Harris promoting this agenda, and uh, so. But a lot of people are noticing this, and they're actually opposing this. So it's a good thing. I see some athletes out here saying, "Yeah, this is BS that you're allowing, a biological male to fight women." You know, yeah. So and and yeah, this is the results of your whole LGBTQ intersectionality agenda. And I posted on TikTok about this, and I have like Chicanas following me, and none of them like my posts, and because they're all brainwashed with this whole intersectionality BS, you know, and and it's like it's just unfortunate. This is what's going on with Chicano studies and all this stuff, and institutionalize Chican X, as they call them. This is the Latin X or Chican X. This is they put X because they don't want to identify a gender, right? They want it to be intersectional. And if you oppose that, you're a bigot, you're a sexist, and this and that, which is just nonsense, right? And if you oppose it in the institutions, hey, guess what? You won't even get hired to teach in their department. This is how bad Chicano studies is. Is controlled opposition. Is they'll give you some truth. Oh, they'll teach you your history, your culture, and all that, but then they'll push other agendas on you, especially when it comes to sexuality and identity and stuff like that. Corrupt, man. I'm telling you. And it's the people in power who control these departments too. Just think about it. Everything that's been institutionalized in the universities, it's all controlled opposition, miseducation, misinformation. That's where we need some real strong-minded Chicanos and Chicanas to come out here and start exposing this stuff. Start creating our own social media, our own courses, our own studies, and start promoting things that are not corrupt. You know, so you'll be surprised. All this Mexica, Aztec Mexica, indigenous stuff and everything. They're even trying to spiritualize this whole stuff. They call them two spirit, right? They try saying, "Oh, the indigenous were all like that." No, not all the indigenous were all like that, right? I know the Chichimecas were my people. They were not down with none of that stuff. The Mexicas were not down with that. There's a lot of natives, even in the towards the Oaxaca area. I forgot their name. Mixtecs, I think. Yeah, it's the Mixtecs. They weren't down with any of that stuff either. So, um, anyways, so don't let anybody lie to you. They're coming off with this Mexica indigenous stuff, and they start trying to spiritualize this two spirit nonsense. Nah, you don't have to agree with that. You know, many tribal nations, many indigenous people were very traditional, and they honored those roles. And a lot of them, I would say, a lot of them weren't down with any of that stuff. And everyone had their own approach to it too. Like, there was tribes that were not so tolerant towards that, and there was tribes that say, hey, you want to go do all that, we're going to kick you out of the tribe and you go form your own tribe, or don't even be part of our tribe, right? There's others that say, okay, you want to act like if a guy wants to act like a woman, then you're going to work like a woman. And they saw them as immature, that haven't fully developed. So there's different perspectives, and if you see the Chichimecas and the Aztecs, Mexicas, and they would execute you if you were on that agenda, right? But I'm not advocating any of that. That's kind of extreme right there. But deep down inside, a lot of tribal nations knew that that lifestyle was not, you know, um, not a good lifestyle, right? And actually, the Mexicas had a whole thing of sickness would occur with you if you had that lifestyle, and it had to do with the liver. And there's a lot of high rates of what they call hepatitis, or of the liver, especially in the gay community. And I actually knew a lot of people who were in that lifestyle of hepatitis, liver dysfunction and all that. So it's a very unhealthy lifestyle, um, and it leads to, I'm not even going into details, but it's just an unnatural way of life, and God did not make males for males and females for females, right? The harmony is the balance between the male and the female. They were meant to go together and reproduce. That's the natural law right there. Now, the gay community will try to say, well, we see in nature some animals that act homosexual. And I said, well, okay, the animal kingdom does some savage stuff too. Are you going to be a savage? So that's not a good rationale to justify, your lifestyle, right? We're more humans are you would think that we're not, we shouldn't be always trying to mimic the lifestyle of animals in some sense, although a lot of humans do act like animals out here, especially with all their savagery and everything. But like I said, if you're a rational human being, and even the great philosophers talked about this, like being a rational human being, um, and even when you give your life to Christ, you're no longer living according to the sinful, corrupt nature, and you're following God, you're following Christ, right? So, but then you got these liberal Christians that say you can't judge, everyone sins. Well, there's different types of sins out there, and there's consequences to those sins. So if you live that gay lifestyle, guess what? It's an unhealthy lifestyle. A lot of them end up with hepatitis or anal dysfunctions, and they can't reproduce, when they have male female, because they don't have that male female reproductive pathway, right? So they gotta find unnatural ways to have children, right? So that they'll adopt a kid, or they'll have artificial insemination, all that, which is, to me, not natural at all. So they have to go outside of nature to try to justify their lifestyle. So yeah, it's a lot of corruption out here, man. I'm telling you, a lot of corruption. Um, But besides all that, the truth is, if you have an XY chromosome, you're a male. Okay? And just like What is a Woman, that documentary, it's like, what is a woman, right? I like the documentary because Matt, was it Matt something? I forgot his last name, but the one that made the documentary, he pressed the binary gender fluidity professor and asked him, well, what is a woman? Tell me. And he didn't want to define what a woman was, right? And the director of that documentary, made the case that a woman is somebody with certain chromosomes, right? And and so this is how you defeat their argument. And so they could try to push all that gender fluidity everywhere and say, oh, they can identify with whatever they want. They can identify as a unicorn, right? But the fact is that you're born biologically either a male or female. Hermaphrodites are very rare, so you can't lump them up with everybody else. And even that, you'll find people who are like in that sphere. Usually, the chromosomes will determine what they truly are, and it's actually a genetic dysfunction too as well. Um, and yeah, so anyways, don't let people deceive you. You know, don't let them deceive you, and it's even what the Bible even says. I'm gonna come off with some Christianity since some of you guys don't like Christianity, and it says that the Bible says something about in the last days. They're gonna call good evil and evil good, right? That's that fluidity right there, right? That's that non-binary deception right there. That's what it's all about right there. So they're pushing that agenda right there. There's people who say, oh, there's no such thing as good and evil, just like Friedrich Nietzsche, right? A lot of these atheists and all that. They try to say there's no such thing as good and evil, but then if someone, you know, if you bring an example of some kind of atrocious crime, they're gonna have to admit that that's an evil act, right? Obviously, it's not a good act, right? If you ask an indigenous and was it a decolonization Mexica type, right? You ask, oh, okay, you don't believe in good and evil, so what Columbus did to the natives? Well, what do you call that, right? They have to admit there's evil in the world, right? Yeah, so even the Mexicas, even when they weren't even Christian, right? But they still had a sense that there was evil in this world, right? They even knew that there was certain evil spirits that would possess people and get them sick. And I know this because I studied a lot of anthropology and indigenous societies, right? I know this stuff. I took classes on this stuff. I read a lot of books on this. And yeah, this is the information that I found that, I studied a lot of their beliefs, right? Um, so, actually, even Native Americans out here, they believe in evil spirits. They even have this whole thing about, they have a lot of native tribes out here. not just the Mexica, but other native tribes, out, especially out here in the U.S. They do believe that there's evil out there. There's evil spirits out there, right? They even have the belief in the skinwalkers and all that. Those are demons, right? Christians call them demons, right? Natives might have different names for them, right? But it's the same stuff right there. Same spiritual reality, right? So definitely natives did believe that evil does exist and it's a reality out part of reality out here too. It's just these a lot of these new agers try to push is that there's no such thing as good and evil. Anything goes, right? There's no morality, there's no absolutes. You know, you could live however you want, right? Even if it's LGBTQ, non-binary. Yeah, there's consequences, right? In my opinion, there's natural laws that God created. And if you don't follow these laws, then what happens? There's consequences. There's chaos, there's destruction. You know, there's harm to others or harm to yourself, right? If you don't follow these natural laws, these God-given natural laws that are in reality. It's like the law of physics, right? You know, it's just like the law of physics. You know, it's like with every reaction, with every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction in some sense. Basically, there's consequences to anything you do, right? And it can be either positive or negative consequences, right? So if you choose to live a unhealthy, wicked lifestyle, hey, the Bible says the wages of sin is death, right? That's what sin is. Corruption is evil, right? So definitely, you know, we see what's happening in the Olympics, and it's just a reflection of society and how it is, you know, what the agendas are being pushed out here. It's nothing new under the sun, though. It's been happening since Sodom and Gomorrah, since, you know, a lot of these societies that have been worshiping false entities and dark forces and, you know, being led by basically Satan. And that's what's happening. They're pushing these agendas: gender confusion, non-binary, intersectionality. And boy, oh boy, you see a lot of Chicanas pushing this, especially the Chicana feminists. It's just unfortunate what's going on. Anyways, let me see here. I guess I'm gonna end this right here, but just remember that boxer has XY chromosome. It's a male. Don't let these liberals and now there's fact checkers now. Fact checkers. The fact checkers were you know, they started when the whole scamdemic happened, right? And they were pushing the jabs. Now they're back. Now you can't expose Kamala Harris. You can't talk about this boxer because it's all this agenda that they're pushing. So they have these fake fact checkers, and I found out in the scamdemic, a lot of these fact checkers are paid off. You know, I found out that the ones that were trying to debunk a lot of people who were opposing the jabs and exposing them, these so-called fact checkers were being paid off by big pharma, and a lot of them were working for the jab type companies. And these same type of fact checkers, they're being paid off too. It could be from Kamala Harris or other government agendas and agencies out here. But I actually got like some fact checkers with Kamala Harris. Actually, the whole Kamala Harris thing where if you actually even like Google it or look it up, you'll find that if you post something about Kamala Harris, um, basically going out with a married man, they'll come out with the fact check and say, well, he was married, but he was separated, right? But and technically, I mean, there's actually an interview by Mayor Willie Brown. It's an old article, and he actually his words debunked that because he said that when he went with Kamala Harris, he was cheating. This is in his own words in the interview. And so, and I know Willie Brown was kind of going back and forth with his wife at times, but why would he say he was cheating on his wife, right? So, but anyways, Kamala Harris has a reputation of I mean, actually, uh, basically, she'll do whatever it is to basically climb up the ranks, right? And they say Willie Brown he started buying her all this expensive stuff and basically gave her political status. And but that's one example of the fact checkers how they're out here to try to defend um, certain agendas and Kamala Harris and stuff like that. So and that's that. Now, if you go and post about that boxer, um, and now there's fact checkers now with that boxer too, and they're trying to say what are they trying to say? Now they're trying to say, she was born a woman. It's an actual woman. I've seen so many dumb posts, but even I have a lot of people on my friends list, and I see posts, and I'm seeing them. They're saying, no, it's a, the conservative Republicans are wrong. It's actually the boxer is a biological woman. Well, that's nonsense right there. That's a lie, and I'm not siding with Trump or Kamala or anything like that. As you guys know, I'm critical of both parties, but I seek truth, right? And the truth is that um, that person, the boxer, was banned from another competition, and based on a test, it was banned, and because this person the boxer had a XY chromosomes and high testosterone, and so they say, no, you're not going to box against women. You're biologically a male. So the Olympics one, they're going by just what the passport says, right? And they're not going based on any chromosomal type tests. So this is why they're allowing this. So the fact checkers are spreading lies, and a lot of these dumb liberals are out regurgitating this, and they're saying, "Oh, it's a biological woman. You Christians are just dumb and this and that." No, 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 no. They twist things around. It's not biologically a woman. It's born a male, and it has XY chromosomes. And this is why these XY chromosome people are beating people up, beating the women up right now. There's another one. There's an Asian one that came out, and I mean, he actually, I'm gonna say he, he beat the woman, and So yeah, that's what's happening, So some people are saying, you know what, these women should actually protest in the Olympics and say, you know what, I'm not participating in this. They should all basically just, just pull away from the boxing and protest against that, and just like, okay, we're not going to participate in this, and just let these XY individuals fight each other, and make a statement saying, we're not going for this. That's what they should do. That's what they should do right there. I don't know why these women are participating in fighting a man. They're gonna get damaged, right? Just like that Italian girl was like saying she never been hit so hard in her face ever because she's fighting a man. So these are the agendas being promoted out here. Corruption, man. I'm telling you, corruption. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go. You know, but keep an eye out. Actually, keep an eye on what's going on in boxing. That's something interesting right there. But don't let it distract you either. There's other stuff going on too right now. I'm not. Well, the topic is not. The topic here is the biology versus intersectionality, and I wanted to bring in this whole Olympic discussion here. Um, Intersectionality is just a bunch of nonsense. It's all that non-binary, gender fluidity agenda, the whole LGBTQ agenda too as well. So biology is the truth. You're born with certain chromosomes. That's what you are. That's it. Case is settled. Anyways, well, I'm gonna let you guys go. Just remember, don't be woke, be conscious. This is a conscious Chicano, and I'm out.